Check, check, check. Hey, hey.
Check 1, 2, 2.
Yay.
Hey, hey.
Hi.
Yes. Oi. Hello. Hello. Looking good.
She's bright. She's bright. They had it off for a while, and I was like, oh,
Please turn it on.
but it's gonna be yes, yes. And I know after when we're sitting. Yes, sir. It's okay. I'm sure they have. I can never follow him too. I don't know. I always look at him and I'm like, what are you? What's the signal you're trying to give me? Go? No. Keep going. Don't stop. What? The whole time I'm going. Okay. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing.
Three of us to sound like Israel.
We wish.
It's a warning to say alone, 'cause you never find another Hawaiian like me. Oh no, you never find another
2 2 2 check. 1 2 1 2
Two. Kind of more vocal.
Check, check, 1 2. Hey, hey.
You'll be mine wherever you
2 2 1 2.
Losing the vocals there.
It's a warning to say I love you. 'Cause you never find another Hawaii.
Thank you.
Oh no, you never find another connect. Oh no,
2 2 2 2.
another a people like us. Que casa sola. Yeah.
We can start right now. Yeah.
Malam ako ano. Malam raw handa. Ay. Ano nga eh? Yung ay.
2 2 2.
Oh, mahalo nui. Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. We are from the Royal Hawaiian Band Glee Club, and we opened our set this evening with some music by Charles E. King, former director of the Royal Hawaiian Band in the 1930s and 1940s. And we'll continue on doing some more of his beautiful Hawaiian music for you. The song that was written for part of his operetta called The Prince of Hawaii, The King's Serenade, Iwiawiaoi. Ala mauno ia o ka milili apa ala e ka makupono o ka milili apa ala e ka makupono e kalano ia ia o mua ia na kaele miki miki ala e ka lavelilo na kaele miki miki ala e ka lavelilo ole no ahelua ai ni ke ai me oe ma ka hohe ma ai ni ke ai me oe ma ka hohe ma ka pai ka hila hila e wake up mai ho'i oe a laila a ka oe no ka mea oe ka best a laila a ka oe no ka mea oe ka best ole no ahelua ai like ai me oe ma ka hohe ma ai like ai me oe ma ka hohe ma ka pai ka hila hila e wake up mai ho'i oe a laila a ka oe no ka mea oe ka a laila a ka oe no ka mea oe ka best ua i ke maka no oe i kana ni lua ole o ka leihulu mamo i kana ni lua ole o ka leihulu mamo o ka puana kau e ho'olo he mai na ka ele miki miki na e ka lavelilo na ka Charles E. King asked us to spend some time Iwaho with our friends in Waikiki, and so we take you in the shadow of Kaimanahila, surfing, spending some time at the racetrack, and just having a real good time in the playground of the ali'i. Iwaho mako I kapone Aike I kanani o Kaimanahila Kaimanahila Kau mai I luna Iwaho mako I kapone Aike I kanani o Kaimanahila Kaimanahila Kau mai luna Iwaho mako I Waikiki ea Aike ai kanani ka papa he e nalu Papa he e nalu A he e mali Iwaho mako I Waikiki ea Aike ai kanani ka papa he e nalu Papa he e nalu He e mali Iwaho mako I kapi olani paka Aike ai kanani ka lino poe poe Lino poe poe O oluhi kino Iwaho mako I kapi olani paka Aike kanani kalina poe poe kalina poe poe o oluhi kino
Haina ia mai ana ka puana Aike I kanani o kai manahila Kai manahila Agau mai luna Haina ia mai ana ka puana Aike I kanani kai manahila Kai manahila Agau mai luna
Since we're in Waikiki, we'll do some songs for the ali'i. Song written by Miriam Like for their beautiful residents called Ainahau, with its many banyan trees and the pikake, who are the favorite pets of Princess Kaiulani.
Nā ka vai luki ni vai anu he a o ka rose e hope nei ka liko o nā pua. A manu ki kake manu hulu mele mele nā ka hiko ia o ku home nani vale ku home o aina hau I ka iu I ka holu na pea ka lau o ka iu I ka ulu na kaimihi I ke ala o na pua ku home I ka iu iu ku home I ka iu Nā kamakani ahe I pa mai makai I lawe mai I ke ona lipoa E ho'o nipo me ke ala o kuhome I ka iu Nani vale kuhome o aina hau I ka iu I ka holu na pea ka lau o ka niu I ka ulu rehi I ke ala o na pua kuhome I ka iu kuhome I ka iu kuhome I ka iu
Oh, mahalo nui. Thank you so much. From Ainahau, we go over to the favorite home of Lili'ua Kalani. And she wrote this song at a time where she was under house arrest, but she was allowed
Guaranteed.
deliveries of flowers from her garden at Paua Kalani.
If Mike can sing, you can sing too, Augie.
E ka gentle breeze e pa mai nei o hali ali a mai ana ia u
Sorry.
We're going to take you up and around the big island of Hawaii, looking at those beautiful kuahibis of ours, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, Hualalai, Kohala, and across the Alenui Haha Channel with this song written by Helen Deshay Beamer. Hoi hoi, kapina a owei mea, I ka mai a ke hauanu. A kahi ho ia wa I ke maka, I nā mai lele marua I ka pali a owei ki o. I nā mai lele marua I ka pali a owei ki o. Hoi hoi, ka pina owei mea, I ka mai a ke
1, 2.
a kahi ho ia wa I ke maka.
Ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes. Check. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'd like to ask you to please start to take your seats at this time. Once again, we'd like to ask you to start to take your seats. Mahalo.
Kila Mauna Kea me kona nani Helu e kahi o ke ki e Pili mai Mauna loa Mauna kamaha o me loa kawaii ne vele mai kahi ki O me loa kawaii ne vele mai kahi ki Hano, ualalai e kumaila Ho oki wahiwa ana I nā kona Ai ala, nā kua hiwi o kohala Ke holo a ela mai uka
Just.
ke kai Ke holo a ela mai uka ke kai Halo, ualalai e kumaila Ho oki
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 minutes away. We'd like to ask you to begin to take your seats. 3 minutes away. Mahalo.
Nā kua hiwi o kohala E holo aila mai uka ke kai E holo aila mai uka ke kai Ma o aku o Alenui ha 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 Hale akala o maui a kamaku ane hanau A ina ka puana I lohe ia Ma kano I ka nani o nā kuahiwi e lima Ma kano I ka nani o nā kuahiwi e lima Ma o aku o Alenui ha ha Hale akala o maui a kamatu ane anau A ina ka puana
2 minute warning. 2 minute warning. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to ask you to take your seats, please. E na hoa maka mai, Hawaii inui o ke awia hiki ni ihau ka helelani, na ka maaina, na malihini, na ohana o City and County of Honolulu, aloha. Mai ka iloa, pai lima o Royal Hawaiian Band Glee Club. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mayor Blangiardi's 5th State of the City Address. Before we begin tonight's program, I'd like to take a moment to recognize some special guests in attendance with us this evening. The Governor of the State of Hawaii, Josh Green. Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke. United States Senator Brian Schatz. Members of the Honolulu City Council, led by Chair Tommy Waters. Vice Chair Matt Ware. Floor Leader Radiant Cordero. And council members Esther Kia'aina, Andrew Tupola, Augie Tolba, Val Okimoto, and Scott Nishimoto. Honolulu Prosecuting Attorney Steve Alm. Former governors of the state of Hawaii, Linda Lingle. And Neil Abercrombie. Mayors of the County of Kauai, Mayor Derek Kawakami. Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson. Hawaii County Mayor Kimo Alameda. Office of Hawaiian Affairs Vice Chair Keone Souza. And we want to give a big mahalo to Mike and his team for all their incredible contributions to the 40th anniversary of Honolulu City Lights. We can't wait to see what you have in store for us next year. Mike Gangloff from Show Aloha Land. Director General Chang of Taiwan. Consul General Kodama of Japan. Consul General Lee of Korea. Consul General Talbo of the Philippines. Deputy Consul General John Pompa of Australia. Tonight, we are also honored to be in the presence of some truly remarkable military leaders. Major General Christopher Farrow, United States Air Force Mobilization Assistant to the Commander, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. Rear Admiral Mark Williams, U.S. Pacific Fleet Navy Closure Task Force, Red Hill. Rear Admiral Sean Reagan, Commander, United States Coast Guard. Colonel Rachel Sullivan, Commander, U.S. Army Garrison, Hawaii. Captain Samuel White, Commander, Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam. Retired Major General Mark Hashimoto, Executive Director, U.S. Marine Corps Pacific. Retired Major General Susie Veras Lum, Director of the Daniel K. Inouye Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. To all of you, thank you for your service to our island home and also to our nation. At this time, Please rise for the posting of the colors by the Radford High School NJROTC unit. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem and Hawaii Pono'i. Performing the national anthem and Hawaii Pono'i this evening is Hawaii recording artist, Nahoku Hanohano Award winner and member of the Royal Hawaiian Band, Kalai Stern.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Hawaii Pono'i Nanai Komoi Kalani Ali'i Ke Ali'i Mapualani e Kamehameha na kauai pale me ka ihe makualani e kamehameha e na kauai pale me ka ihe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kalai Stern. Please remain standing as the colors are retired. And ladies and gentlemen, as we retire the colors, please show your aloha for the Radford High School NJROTC unit. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Opening the program this evening will be from Halau Pua Ali'i Ilima. Please welcome Kumuhula Vicky Holt Takamine.
No ana ke aku ai kana hele hele I alai I te ti ohu ohu e kaua koko. O na kino malu I kalani malu e ho e ho ulu mai ana o laka I kona mau kahu. O mako no, mako no, o mako no. E hulu tini o te tua ulua e o kane me kanalo ulu ka uhi alau ka bai ka I e. Ulua e ke kini anohi kona maukahu, e a kawaila ka awa e ola I te tumu, e ola I te po'opua, e ola I te pai pai, e ola I nā haumana a pau, e ola no ho I tāua I ka puane ane ai, e li ka pu, e li wanoa. He mai kupua lehua I ka wau, I po ai I na manua huka, ku lehua I mo hala I ka ua o ha'au, ua au ka hale nei, ua hiki mai no o kou, he mai, e ano mako nei, o na I ka hala me ka lehua, he hale lehua no ia naka noe, o ta'u no ia e alo I nei, ane ho I o ta hiti mai, a hiti mai no o kou, a hiti puno me ke aloha, aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Ladies and gentlemen, kumuhula, Vicky Holt Takamina. Friends, colleagues, the 15th Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, the Honorable Rick Blangiardi.
Thank you. What a crowd. Thank you. So let me just say aloha and good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. Your attendance is greatly appreciated, and I'm excited to present our State of the Union with you and our audience watching at home this evening. But first, to my wife, Karen, your personal sacrifice is immense, and your understanding is more than I have a right to ask for. And for that, I love you and much, much more. To Governor Green and Lieutenant Governor Luke, thank you for all that you do for Hawaii each and every day. Senator Schatz, given the uncertainty going on in D.C., your leadership and resolve have never been more important, and I'm honored that you're here tonight. Thank you. To my fellow mayors, Rick Bisson and Derek Kawakami, this journey, this challenge of leading our respective islands has been more fulfilling because of our partnership. And to Mayor Kimo Alameda, we look forward to sharing the road ahead with you as we work to improve the lives of our people together. Thank you all for coming. To our city leadership team, I'm inspired by each and every one of you day in and day out for all that you have done and all that you commit to do for the residents of Oahu. Expectations are high, and there are a lot of people counting on us to deliver. Clearly, they have placed their trust in us with our historic win in the primary. So we must deliver, and we will deliver, and that is because of you. And finally, to our City Council, Chair Tommy Waters, Vice Chair Matt Wire, and honorable council members, I want to extend my sincere mahalo to all of you for being true and trusted partners in our shared commitment and responsibility to fixing the wicked problems of our beloved city and county of Honolulu constructively and collectively. Mahalo. This is my 5th State of the City and the first of our second term. Now, my intention tonight is to provide you with an incisive update of the stellar work of our team in their ongoing efforts to tackle the critical long and short-term challenges we face as an island community. And while I'm proud to say we have created considerable success together over the past 4 years, my focus tonight is on the road ahead, and specifically on what you can expect from our team over the next 4 years as we continue to improve the operations of the city as well as the quality of our lives. Our growth as an administration has been steady and strong, and we've learned and discovered much together about the many diverse needs of our city and our people, and we have planned well and prioritized accordingly. Our collective efforts in the next 4 years are primed to meet those diverse needs through high achievement driven by solid execution. The stakes are high. The timing could not be more critical. And this demands an invincible determination from all of us if we are to succeed. We cannot acquiesce in the face of so many of our people leaving and so many other people considering it due to the high cost of living. This is the leadership challenge of a lifetime for our entire team. All eyes and minds are focused on the future as we work to create a better tomorrow in our embrace of much needed change. Or as President John F. Kennedy once said, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. Now, we are facing unprecedented outmigration, and clearly the overall cost of living in Hawaii for both goods and housing are the primary catalyst for anyone considering leaving our beautiful home. And to solve this island's outmigration issue, we must solve our housing issue. Last week, we made good on our promise from last year's State of the City to recalibrate our organizational structure in service of that goal. Our resolution to create the new Department of Housing and Land Management has been formally introduced to the City Council, merging our real estate and housing experts into a single, unified operation. Now, back in 1998, the city's last iteration of a housing department was officially disbanded. And in working with the council, this new department will mark the first time in 27 years that the city has had a fully staffed housing department to lead in the construction of housing. Now, I'm pleased tonight to announce that Kevin Auger, we've asked him to be our director of the Office of Housing, to serve as director of this new department with Kat Tachner supporting Kevin as deputy director, placing our focus on the development of housing and transit-oriented communities. Now, for the most of the past year, Kevin, Kat, and their teams have already been working as a single unit, completely rethinking our housing strategy. And before every decision they've made in standing up our new department, they've asked themselves a simple question: will this help us create housing? Now, together, they have reestablished the housing platform at the city that is geared towards execution rather than policy, toward development rather than deliberation, and toward results rather than rhetoric. Their new housing plan has two key components. First, that we will stand up an actual development division within the new housing department, one that can spearhead our collaborative efforts with development partners to aggressively create new housing units on city lands. You're making me a little dry in the mouth, boy. Look at these. Okay. Now, our team has identified at least 10 underutilized city-owned properties that would better serve the public if they were transformed into affordable housing. These properties have been sitting around for years with no plan or strategy or the necessary infrastructure. Our housing department is activating them to serve the single most needed purpose that we can offer our residents: as places to live. Solicitations for the development of 5 of those properties are already out, and we believe these 10 parcels have the potential to add nearly 2,000 units to the housing market on Oahu. Now, to fully unlock that potential, there is a second key component to our reorganization: the creation of a finance division that can engineer new ways to address the cost of development. Now, make no mistake, we already have made lots of progress. After a 23-year hiatus, our private activity bond program is thriving. Since restarting the city's program just 3 years ago, nearly $670 million in bond allocations have been awarded to developers, including $140 million in awards scheduled to close later this summer to help finance more than 400 new public housing units. But that said, the simple truth is that our current affordable housing ecosystem relies too heavily on low-income tax credits and general obligation bonds, funding sources that are way too restrictive. So to further accelerate the delivery of housing and execute on our housing goals, the city needs cutting-edge financing solutions. Our housing team is exploring the use of multifamily taxable revenue bonds and the provision of low-cost construction equity financing to determine if these alternative structures make sense for our development partners across the island, many of whom are with us here tonight. The bottom line is that we cannot build new housing units if we cannot make the projects pencil out. So we are determined to introduce creative financing options that can be implemented on city developments using city properties with city infrastructure for the good of this city's residents before the end of our administration. Now, when it comes to housing, I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish in our first 4 years and excited for what we are committed to doing over the next 4. Last month, we proposed meaningful changes to the way the city leases property to make it easier for development partners to quickly advance housing projects. So we need to offer more leasing options, which will help speed up the approval process. We cannot call housing our top priority and then insist on the status quo when it comes to our leasing rules. And making smart revisions to Chapter 38 will have a wider impact than just housing. We want to make it easier for government services and nonprofits to lease city properties to better serve our residents, and we look forward to working with the council to make it easier to get projects moving in their districts with these changes. Now, it's okay. It's obvious that there are plenty of rules and regulations still standing in the way. And earlier this year, we started working with UHERO on a top-down review of anything that developers might call red tape to make sure we address any opportunity to reduce regulatory burden. Knowing that time is money, and in real estate, development is big money, we believe every decision we make about housing regulations, including whether or not they're even necessary, should be data-driven. And as a facilitator, the sooner we address the systemic issues hindering development, the bigger impact we can make. Now, when it comes to our housing shortage, there is no bigger impact we can make, no bigger catalyst for change than to unleash the full strength of our efforts on transit-oriented development. Few places in the country support public transportation more than the people of Oahu. We rank 5th in the nation for per capita transit ridership, and more than 90% of all residents on our island live within a 10-minute walk of a bus stop or a rail station. Now, going forward, our Skyline system provides us with an unprecedented opportunity to create high-density, mixed-use communities where people will choose to live along the rail line. But first, it's time to bring Skyline to Pearl Harbor. It's time to bring Skyline to the airport, so residents flying out for the weekend don't need to sit in traffic to get dropped off for their flights. It's time to bring Skyline to Lagoon Drive, where riders will be able to connect to Waikiki and East Oahu. And it's time to bring Skyline all the way into Kalihi. So we're announcing tonight that the second segment of rail operations from Aloha Stadium to Middle Street will open on October 1st. Way to go, Lori! Way to go, baby! Way to go! That's a bit of a surprise. You got to know that. October 1st, we go. All right, our team at Heart, led by Lori Kaikina, okay, continues to do incredible work. Construction on the third and final rail segment through downtown Honolulu and into Kaka'ako will start this year, with the entire system slated to open in 2031. So our job now is to ensure that the housing developments, the new businesses, and the new public spaces we have planned for communities along the rail line keep up, if not beat, the pace of rail construction. And perhaps nowhere is that more important for us than in the redevelopment of Iwilei Center. When we acquired Iwilei Center last year, we used the word iconic to describe our vision to transform the area into a mixed-use community with at least 2,000 new housing units. And this month, we announced the next step in bringing that vision to life. Right now, the city is accepting proposals that will enable us to select a development partner capable of creating the world-class community our residents deserve. A community that features affordable and market-rate housing, commercial and retail spaces, government services, education facilities, including child care providers, recreational opportunities, and a rail park and ride. Simply put, we are making good on our promise to build an equitable community where all residents, regardless of income, have the same opportunities to live, work, shop, learn, and play as everyone else. Thank you. All right, thank you. Thanks to an unprecedented $3 million in state and federal grants, we're well into infrastructure planning for this new development. Our housing team worked with heart to completely reshape the Kawili Station, connecting it directly into the Evile Center community, as well as a multimodal hub at the base of the station that will enable even greater transportation options. Now, our Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency is making sure the new development is designed to stand strong in the face of future climate hazards. And our Office of Economic Revitalization will guide this new community toward robust business opportunities, especially for small and local businesses and entrepreneurs. And with $100 million in funding for mixed-use development in this year's proposed budget, we have set the stage to break ground on this transformative project by 2028. Now, the vision that we have for Evile will not come together overnight. We know that planning and design, not just for infrastructure, but for the entire mixed-use development, will take years to complete. But given that we have already talked tonight about activating city properties, we know that letting Evile Center sit empty and underutilized that entire time is not in the best interest of our residents and our taxpayers. Instead, while planning and design for housing takes place, we're using the building to help address the second greatest challenge of our administration, homelessness. Now, last month, Governor Green and I unveiled Kumu Oloho, a groundbreaking new homeless shelter inside the Evile Center complex that focuses on brain and behavioral health. Now, for individuals who spent years or even their whole lives on the streets, mental health challenges and traumatic brain injuries can make it impossible to transition back into stable living situations. Kumu Oloho is compassionate housing, steeped in Hawaiian principles, that focuses on restoring cognitive function through neuroscience and architecture. The model we've deployed is among the first in the nation, and it's being studied at universities and research centers around the world, who are looking to us for insight into better ways that we can treat our most vulnerable homeless individuals. Kumu Oloho is the first of 4 separate homeless shelters that will open inside Evile Center this year, adding a total of 100 more treatment beds to the city's inventory. Now, thank you. As mayor, our ability to effectively and humanely treat our homeless population, our most vulnerable population, is paramount. Homelessness is a gut-wrenching and heartbreaking reality in our communities, one that deeply challenges our minds and spirits at every level. And trying to alleviate the pain and suffering we see far too much in too many places. Yet there's no simple solution. In fact, it is a demanding test of our human spirit to be purposeful, determined, and unwavering in our intent and our actions to help these people with their incredible suffering. As we came out of COVID in early 22, we developed a comprehensive strategy, one that involved new facilities, key strategic partners, and a game plan to effectively reduce the number of unsheltered chronic homeless, the most difficult and challenging population on our streets. Then, not long after Governor Green's election, we formed the Homeless Task Force of city, state, and nonprofit stakeholders that now meets weekly. The group is truly cross-sector, comprised of key members from city and state government, as well as leaders from our homeless provider community, representing an unprecedented collaboration of skills and knowledge aimed at helping our homeless in every feasible way we can. Now, we know that many chronically homeless individuals suffer from mental illness or some form of addiction. Add to that, as we have painfully learned from our medical teams, many are also very physically sick, with cancers, organ failure, and a number of terminal issues. Proper medication and treatment has proven to be a game changer, so we've focused much of our efforts over the past 3 years on providing medical care, including at new respite facilities like Ala Respite. The work being done there is simply outstanding. The respite has already stabilized dozens of patients, enough to get them into permanent supportive housing, and reunited at least 15 patients with their families. Facilities like Ala Respite have also dramatically reduced the strain on our healthcare system. Let me give you an example. The first 2 homeless patients, just 2, to be treated at Ala Respite last year were responsible for a jaw-dropping 80 calls to 911 in the prior year. Now, if you take that rate and multiply it by the more than 150 people who have now received on-site medical care, instead of making costly visits to local hospitals, we are dramatically reducing strain on our 911 system and our healthcare system. And for those homeless patients sick enough to require advanced care, nearly every homeless person who is now discharged from the hospital is taken to Ala Respite instead of being put back on the street in a hospital gown. We are approaching this challenge with love and compassion because we refuse to let our severely ill, our severely vulnerable, die alone on the streets. But if this landscape wasn't challenging enough, our homeless service providers estimate that in the past year, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people arrived on Oahu from the mainland knowing they would be homeless. Candidly, this takes the challenge to an entirely different level. Reducing the number of homeless people on Oahu demands a bold, aggressive, and comprehensive strategy. But more importantly, it demands a capability of executing that strategy and an unwavering commitment not to fade in the face of adversity of our most intractable problem. Now, I want to share with you our strategy. I said at the outset that we needed to treat this problem effectively and humanely. And it starts with our crisis outreach, responsible, and engagement team, better known as CORE. CORE was designed to help mitigate thousands of costly 911 calls each year involving homelessness. Calls which greatly taxed EMS, HPD, and the emergency rooms at our hospitals, especially the Queens Medical Center. This mobile crisis team is growing, and we will establish a second base of operations in Waipahu later this year to better serve our homeless population on the west side and in central Oahu. Now, thank you. Outside of responding to 911 calls, CORE's primary responsibility is to fulfill one of the pillars that our strategy is built upon, and that is getting homeless individuals to engage the system. CORE is boots on the ground in our communities, establishing relationships and building trust with countless individuals. Now, we found that our homeless individuals are more likely to engage the system if they can receive medical care, something which CORE provides. They might engage the system if they can get a free ride or a free meal, but our CORE team faces a harsh reality. The vast majority of our chronically homeless population refuses help when first asked. So our CORE team knows that creating a rapport and building trust is essential if we ever hope to have these individuals voluntarily buy in to leaving their life on the street. But leaving a life on the street necessitates that these individuals have a place to go. And that is where the collaboration, as well as the much-needed financial support from the governor and the state, really begins to manifest. In just the past 18 months, in the Iwilei area alone, we've established more than 200 new beds in 4 separate facilities that are supported by 2 additional medical respite centers, plus a one-of-a-kind homeless triage and treatment facility. And on top of that, in partnership with UH's John A. Burns School of Medicine, we've dedicated space for the Home Project to provide medical care on site at Iwilei Center, 5 days a week. This innovative clinic is run by medical students and staffed by volunteers. For our homeless population, the Home Project dramatically improves access to health care and the quality of health care. Thank you. The beds at many of our new facilities are designed to be transitional, with the average length of stay projected to be 12 weeks before individuals are able to move into permanent supportive housing. Consequently, the multiplier effect should allow us to treat hundreds of people per year in just these 4 facilities. Our goal in the next calendar year, given all of our efforts in creating capacity to provide care, is to help at least 1,000 people who are experiencing homelessness get treatment and get off the street. And this kind of consistent, intense support has proven itself as a way to stabilize patients and provide a pathway into supportive housing. Now, working with the state and nonprofits, we have been thoughtful, deliberate in our approach to opening new homeless shelters for specific segments of our homeless population. Facilities with communal bathrooms and living spaces can be dangerous for young children. So we've opened family shelters in Wahiawa and at Waikiki Vista to better serve that population, with another family shelter coming soon to Haula. And we've increased shelter bed capacity for Kupuna, the most vulnerable of the vulnerable. And for people with addiction issues or mental health issues or physical ailments, we have but one goal in mind: to get them the help they need to get off the streets. To make a meaningful difference, our approach must be smart, calculated, and most of all, collaborative. And I'm very proud and grateful of our working relationship with the state and to Governor Green. Governor, I cannot thank you enough for your leadership. Our partnership and your willingness to combine our hearts and minds, as well as the necessary resources to properly fight this fight. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now, look, we believe strongly in our game plan to tackle this crisis head on. And now it's about better execution at every level. And for their efforts in driving that execution, I sincerely want to thank the members of our Homeless Task Force. And I'll ask you to please hold your applause until the end. Connie Mitchell, IHS, Laura Thielen, Partners in Care, Ryan Catalani, Family Promise Hawaii, Jun Yang, the state's new homeless coordinator, Assistant Chief Ryan Nishibun, HPD, Dr. Greg Payton and his team at Mental Health Kokua, Dr. Dan Keogh and his team at North Shore Mental Health, including Kamate and Faye Manalassis, Dr. Scott Miskovich and Premier Medical Group, and from the state, Dr. Mike Champion, Dr. Chad Koyanagi, and Dr. Kenny Fink, the Director of the State Department of Health, as well as Dr. Jill O'Mori, Executive Director of Japson's Home Project, and our very own Dr. Jim Island, Director of the Honolulu Emergency Services Department, and his deputy, Ian Sante. You know, to our point earlier about healthcare being a critical part of our strategy, if you include Dr. Josh Green, there are 9 doctors at the table as we make all of our critical decisions about how we address homelessness. A testament, yeah. And it's a testament to our approach of treating this issue with empathy and compassion. And finally, I want to give a very special and sincere mahalo to Anton Krucky, Director of our Department of Community Services, his deputy, Edward Los Manos, and Roy Miyahira, who recently joined our team as Director of Homeless Solutions. Now, everyone I just mentioned exhibits an unwavering commitment on behalf of the people of the City and County of Honolulu to tackling homelessness. Now, I want to say one more thing before we move on. And I want to talk directly to our residents. For all our efforts, we know that there is a dark side to life on the streets that preys on the vulnerability of our homeless and is also a very real threat to our communities. And that dark side is the criminals that lurk about them. Our enforcement approach when it comes to crime, especially involving our most vulnerable citizens, is centered on a zero-tolerance policy. Recent Supreme Court rulings have allowed cities and counties to be much more aggressive if someone is illegally trespassing or breaking the law, or if they are determined by a licensed healthcare professional to be a danger to themselves or others especially. The Weed and See Chinatown and Safe and Sound Waikiki programs have been incredibly successful, especially when it comes to targeting habitual criminals with long rap sheets. And the combined efforts of both programs over the past 3+ years have led to nearly 5,000 arrests. Our directive is to arrest and prosecute to the fullest extent each and every time someone breaks the law. So I want to especially acknowledge the diligence of Steve Arm and his team at the prosecutor's office. Along with Chief Joe Logan and the entire police department for their great teamwork and partnership in working with us to help make Oahu a safer place. Many of you heard me call this job the challenge of a lifetime. And there were times in the first few weeks of 2025 where it never felt more true. When a stockpile of illegal fireworks detonated as Aliamanu rang in the new year, few could have imagined the devastation, the lives that were lost, the families that were senselessly torn apart. And we were all shocked by the horror of that night. It wounded our city and our psyche. The scene was described as a war zone, and we were horrified by the thought. So I'd like to ask all of you to join me in a moment of silence tonight to honor the victims of that awful tragedy. Thank you. You know, none of us should have been surprised to learn of the bravery with which our first responders sprang into action that night. Paramedics, police officers, and firefighters from across the island rushed to the scene. And many did so without being asked, just to help in any way they could. They rushed to the scene because when you devote your entire life to protecting others from harm, that mission is all that matters. Too often, we take for granted the sacrifices of those who risk everything for us. The sacrifices of men like firefighter Jeff Fiala. Just 5 days after the Aliamanu explosion, tragedy struck again. A house in McCully caught fire. And as the flames intensified and people fled from the heat and the danger, Jeff and his fellow firefighters ran towards both. It was an act of bravery, one that every single member of our fire department would have made. But for reasons we may never know, it would be the final call Jeff ever responded to. Jeff's sacrifice will live forever, not just in the hearts of our firefighters, but through the love we all share for those whom Jeff loved most. Please join me tonight in welcoming firefighter Fiala's parents, Mike and Christine, his brother Andrew and Andrew's fiancée, Nicole, and Jeff's wife, Fiona. Please know that you remain in our thoughts and prayers, and we are profoundly grateful that you are here with us this evening. And may God bless all of you. Our first responders put their lives on the line every day for us. And our responsibility at the city is to make it easier and safer for them to do their jobs. The decision to stand up ocean safety as an independent department last summer has breathed new life into the day-to-day working lives of our incredible lifeguards. I especially want to thank and acknowledge Kurt Lager, our Ocean Safety Director, for his passion and his steadfast dedication in leading this great department through their transition. Our promise to Kurt is to do everything we can to support operational readiness and ocean safety while our entire team, along with the City Council, works to provide the department with resources that will reshape their capabilities. Later this year, on a piece of land overlooking Kailua Bay, the city will complete construction on the first newly built facility specifically for ocean safety in its 107-year history. Now think about that. That's okay. Think about that. That's a legacy of life-saving that goes back more than a century. A legacy etched by heroes like Bill Smith, Eddie Aikau, Brian Keaulana, and heroes like Tamayo Perry, who we tragically lost last year on the North Shore. Tamayo was an incredible waterman who lived an extraordinary life, and our thoughts and prayers remain with his family and his friends all over the world. Okay. For decades, our lifeguards have saved countless lives despite being asked to do more with less, especially when it comes to facilities. And our commitment to the men and women of ocean safety is to upend that status quo in our second term. So in addition to Ocean Safety's new Wynwood Operations Center, we anticipate spending millions of dollars over the next 4 years on the planning, design, and construction of improvements to existing ocean safety facilities, as well as on the construction of new facilities, including one very special facility on the North Shore. After countless conversations with community members, public safety officials, and Vice Chair Matt Wire, we're announcing tonight our intent to purchase a highly coveted piece of land across the street from Sharks Cove for the creation of a world-class first responder hub. Now, these plans are subject to a negotiated sales price with the current landowner, but this facility will be transformative for our North Shore communities. The proposed first responder hub would serve as a base of operations for our North Shore lifeguards, and it will feature a brand new ambulance station, dramatically reducing emergency response times. Now, I want to thank Denise Antolini, she's in the house, Denise, and the members of the community who fought so hard to make this happen. I look forward to working with you. Okay. Yes. Yes. I know you thought it would never happen. Okay. I look forward to working with you, the council, and our lifeguards to execute this vision. Now, I've said before that our lifeguards are the best watermen and women in the world, willing to rush into any situation, to take on any wave in service of others. And we saw it firsthand last summer when our city and the nation were captivated by the race against time to rescue Kahiao Kawai, a teenager who was separated from his high school paddling team offshore from Waikiki. And for nearly 12 hours, in what became the longest night of his life, Kahiao clung to his kayak in the open ocean. And the emergency response was overwhelming. But then, when the night was darkest, just before dawn, an off-duty lifeguard in a borrowed boat called to shore with 3 words his friends and family will never forget. I've got him. Now please join me tonight in welcoming Kahiao Kawai and the lifeguard who saved his life, Nolan Keaulana. There they are, right here. Now, Nolan is an ocean safety lifeguard, rescue ski operator, and Hokulea crew member. In the days that followed the rescue, he admitted that nobody ever asked him to help. Instead, he called another legendary waterman, Nainoa Thompson, and simply asked to borrow a boat. When Nainoa asked why Nolan simply replied, and this is a direct quote, "There should be no boy out there in the ocean overnight. I have to go." This is the cloth from which all of our city lifeguards are cut, and it underscores emphatically our need to better support the department, not just with facilities, but with leadership. Kurt Lager has my full support, and when the time comes, I will be the first person to testify that he should be the chief of the department. And congratulations, Kurt, on your upcoming wedding, too. Way to go. Now, given everything that our lifeguards have to look forward to, and given how much that critical first responder agency has evolved over the past year, it's clear to all of us that standing up ocean safety as its own department was the right decision. And we're grateful to the City Council and to the public for their support in making that happen. Reorganization made great sense for ocean safety, and it's time to find out if it makes sense for EMS. Our administration has already begun to establish a task force to determine whether the Honolulu Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services, which operates our ambulance units, would be better off as a single integrated department. Fire-based EMS programs can be found all over the country, and with the number of 911 calls for emergency treatment on Oahu skyrocketing, we need to find out whether a consolidation of fire and EMS can improve response times. Equally as important, we need to study the impact it will have on the morale of our first responders. Now, we've consistently approached challenges like this the same way, with a commitment to understanding problems before offering solutions. In 2021, our first year in office, we took operational control of EMS from the state. We were confident that we could run EMS more efficiently. And in that effort, it became quite apparent that EMS needed to focus specifically on medical response. And ocean safety had earned the right to be its own first responder agency. However, I want to be clear, in executing that vision, I strongly support Dr. Jim Island as a Director of Emergency Services. In fact, right now, Jim and his team are in the middle of negotiations for a location in Kaimuki to place a new ambulance, which will serve communities from Palolo to Kaimuki with backup service to Waikiki and Wailupe. And the projected opening date is July of this year. EMS is also working with Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center to start a brand new program for ES training on the Waianae Coast so that residents interested in becoming paramedics or EMTs will have easy access to training, facilities, and instruction without having to drive all the way to Kapiolani Community College. So I want to thank Waianae Comp and KCC for their vision and their willingness to make this happen. Now, these initiatives are all designed to improve our services to the public, including the decision to study a merger between HFD and EMS. And we are doing so with the support of Dr. Island and Fire Chief Kalani Hau. Now, you've heard me say it already tonight. We have an incredible obligation to those who take care of others, but not just our first responders, but all of the employees who serve our residents, especially in times of crisis. Last week, we were thrilled to finalize our hazard pay agreements with SHOPO and UPW for hours worked during the coronavirus pandemic. And we will begin issuing payments to members from those two unions within the next couple of months. And we are in the home stretch of negotiations with HGEA with hopes that we can finalize that agreement soon. And we now turn our attention toward agreements with the unions that represent our firefighters and transit operators, including bus drivers, because we are committed to making sure all of our workers are treated fairly. So I want to say to all of our essential workers that we recognize and respect the work that you did during the pandemic. And we'll be forever grateful for the way you kept city operations going in our darkest hours. The more than $130 million we're spending on hazard pay reflects our commitment to our employees, while our proposed $5.1 billion city budget reflects not just our commitment to our communities, but our priorities as an administration. We're committed to more than just housing, homelessness, and public safety. And to be candid, my biggest regret tonight is not having enough time to talk about the incredible plans that all of our departments have put together and the incredible work that all of them are doing for our people. Work like what our Director Laura Thielen from Parks and Recreation have been doing as champions for equity across our island. Laura's focus on facilities in rural areas, including a new swimming pool in Kahuku and park improvements across West Oahu, has been truly inspiring. Thank you, Laura. And at Enterprise Services, at Enterprise Services, under Director Dita Holyfield's leadership, where our 6 municipal golf courses set all-time records this year for both attendance and revenue. And our beloved Honolulu Zoo is also up in both of those categories. Or at the Department of Customer Services, where wait times for driver's license appointments are a fraction of what they used to be, and will drop even further as we begin the process of making those appointments available online for the first time. Now, customer satisfaction has been incredibly important for CSD Director Kim Hashiro, and she and her team are doing incredible work. Our proposed budget includes millions to fund the rehabilitation of streets, bridges, and road infrastructure, the electrification of our transportation fleet, and the acquisition of new buses and handy vans to keep our residents on the go. It also includes more than $500 million for critical improvements to Oahu's wastewater system, a system we all depend on. But above all, we are committed to fiscally responsible spending as it relates to our budget and our priorities. Not only do we strongly believe that the budget that we've proposed to the City Council is our best to date, but we've balanced it in a way that did not and will not raise property taxes. And that is my commitment to you during my time in office. Now, one of the things we know that's on everyone's mind is the potential impact of federal spending cuts on our local government, our local people, and our local economy. The honest truth is that we cannot predict the future. And on a personal level, it's not in my nature to overreact to situations outside of my control. But our commitment to you is to control everything within our power to control. You know, municipalities across the country are going to have to adapt, whether they like it or not, and we are no exception. So in this year's budget, though, we've asked the Council to commit millions of dollars to a federal funding contingency, one that we would only use if federal funding cuts impacted city employees or city programs. And on top of that, in an extreme worst-case situation, I've directed my team to propose an amendment to the Fiscal Stability Fund law that would allow us to use those monies to avoid significant impacts to our most vulnerable populations as well as the nonprofits that serve them. And I want to be clear, though, that as of today, none of our major programs have been impacted by federal cuts, including funding from the FTA for our rail project. Now, in this year's budget, we've also requested funding to continue working on a challenge that affects every single person across our island. There is no escaping that we need to solve our landfill issue. I don't think we could have applied more due diligence, study, and thought into a major challenge than we have with the siting of a replacement for Waimanalo Gulch. Our Landfill Advisory Committee spent nearly a full year evaluating 6 potential sites and recommended none. We then spent 2 full years with our top military leaders trying to identify a potential site on federal lands to no avail. Now, we are keenly aware that the unfortunate circumstances driven by Red Hill changed the discourse of the entire conversation. But we've consulted with experts at every step along the way, and we stand firm in our solid belief that we can safely build and safely operate a state-of-the-art landfill that will represent no threat to present or future generations. Now, we also need to solve our city's longstanding procurement issue. Another problem people told us could not be solved on our watch. Now, procurement is the process by which we acquire goods and services from outside the city. And for years, that process has taken way too long. It takes too long for us to acquire new fire trucks, new garbage trucks, too long to acquire new holo cards and license plates, and too long to secure contractors for important projects. This compromises our ability to deliver core city services, and to us, these procurement roadblocks are unacceptable. As important as procurement is to our operations, the issues are painfully familiar. We have processes that are redundant and inefficient, technology that doesn't do enough to support our team and their goals, and too few people to make up for the first two problems. So last summer, we established a procurement solutions working group and started attacking the problem with staffing being our top priority. In this year's budget, we made a request for 10 more procurement specialists. And later this year, BFS, which handles city procurement, will become our first department to roll out an incentive program designed to reward and retain high performers. Now, we also have money in the budget to begin our search for a new tech platform, one that is easier for departments to navigate and easier for our procurement team to manage. In the meantime, we're reviewing every step of the process to eliminate inefficiencies, knowing full well that hardworking employees across the city are counting on us to deliver. But most of all, we're dedicated to finding solutions that will help us better serve our residents in every community and every council district for years to come. Now, some of the biggest challenges of our first 4 years are a lot less wicked than we were when we started working on them. 12 months ago, we promised our residents that within a year, the average amount of time it took DPP to conduct code reviews on residential permits would be less than 1 month. We have it down to 2 weeks. We promised that code review on commercial projects would be done in 6 months or less by the end of 2025. It is already down to 60 days, and DPP is far from done. So I want to be clear, other parts of the permitting process still need work, and we're not saying that applications are being approved in 60 days. But fixing the code review process was something that people told us could never be done. And the data shows that the staff at DPP have already made more progress that's been done in the last 25 years. And for that, I want to thank and congratulate DPP Director Dawn Takeuchi Apuna and her Deputy Brian Gallagher. The seeds of improvement that we've planted over the last 4 years are finally beginning to bear fruit. After more than a year of system upgrades, Clarity, our new permitting software, will be fully operational by September 1st. CivCheck, our cutting-edge AI-driven plan review assistant, will go live this fall, helping applicants submit complete and compliant permits in their first review cycle, cutting down review times even further. Now, we know even more can be done to streamline the process. And so to cut down on review times and address our housing shortage, DPP is also developing pre-approved building templates for ADUs and Ohana dwellings that will fast-track housing in our own backyards. We don't want to simply come out from under the backlog. We want to provide applicants with the fastest permit review times as anywhere in the country. And we're closer to that goal now than we've ever been before. Now, we're more than proud of our progress when it comes to staffing. Yet another issue we identified just 2 years ago as one of our city's wicked problems. Since then, our Department of Human Resources has undergone the most transformative modernization of their operations in decades. After years where the city lost more employees than they hired, we are currently projecting net employee growth at the city and county for the 3rd straight year. I want to especially acknowledge DHR Director Nola Miyazaki and Deputy Director Bugs Bacchio for their remarkable work. And thanks to our success raising salaries for engineers, our net positive hiring growth includes hard-to-hire departments like design and construction, where every new engineer or architect that we bring on board increases our capacity to improve city facilities across the island. Now, we're already tracking on a year-to-year hiring increase of more than 10%. And our monthly hiring average in fiscal year 25 exceeds our pre-COVID numbers by an incredible 62%. Now, that hasn't happened by accident. By streamlining our processes and expanding capacity, we have cut the average time it takes to hire a new employee by more than half compared to what it was just 3 years ago. And in some cases, it's down to just 6 weeks or less. And we've also allocated more staff to focus on employee outreach with a new talent acquisition team that has hosted or participated in more than 110 recruitment events in just the past year. So together with the governor's team, we'll be at 2 special recruitment events next month, targeting employees who have been impacted by recent cuts to government spending and the federal workforce. So to those of you who have been displaced, we know you have the skills, the expertise to help our communities thrive, and we sincerely hope you'll consider joining our incredible teams. Now, by now, nearly 3 months into the 5th year of the defining chapter of my life, most of you know about my previous career in media and news organizations. But at least one person at the legislature seems to still think that I control the media. So it should come as no surprise to anyone that on January 5th, a few days after we were sworn in for our second term, I saw an editorial in the Sunday Star Advertiser with the headline, "Blangiardi has much left to do." Now, clearly, that's not the sort of headline that someone who controls the media would have written. But the truth is, I didn't mind. In fact, I couldn't have said it better myself. For everything that our team is capable of, for everything that our island expects of us, and everything that we expect of ourselves, we do have much left to accomplish. The eyes of our communities are solidly upon us. Our local residents need housing. Our most vulnerable need help. Our sick need medical care, and our people need protecting. These are challenges that we are running toward, not running from, and there is clear evidence that our efforts are paying off. In a survey of Oahu residents published earlier this month, the number of people who said they were committed to staying here, to staying home, instead of leaving for Vegas or Seattle or San Diego, was the highest it's been since 2012. And for the first time in years, our people have hope. They believe in this place for what it is and for what it can be. And we believe in it too. And we promise to work until the last minute of our last day to deliver. God bless you all. God bless Hawaii. God bless the United States of America.
Mahalo for attending the State of the City address. Mayor Rick Blangiardi will remain in the auditorium for a few moments to greet his guests. Mahalo, please drive home carefully. Malamapono. Aloha a hui ho.